Oh. Hopefully I'm not chopping my head off. I'm not using the normal camera. It's really cold out. My other camera battery died. We're going to talk about the little Coleman little four-wheeler you can get at a Tractor Supply. We got this for my wife. She wanted a youth-sized four-wheeler, and I don't know if anybody else has seen the market right now. It is ridiculous. Sorry, you got to put up my barn kitties. They're going to probably be all over. You might be able to hear them, but the market is just crazy right now. People that aren't working, whatever, you know, living the YOLO, you only live once, are just financing, buying, borrowing four-wheelers. Everybody has a four-wheeler. You know, it's ridiculous. The last used four-wheeler I purchased for the farm here, I bought 2 Polaris Trail Bosses, 2-wheel drive, front and rear racks, and a trailer for like $3,500. We used that for a while. I used to pick up four-wheelers for like 500 bucks. I would buy them, clean them up, store them in the winter and sell them in the spring. You know, and then I got sick of, I needed something bigger, so I ended up getting the Polaris Ranger, which is great, but the turning radius is not the greatest. Sometimes you just want to go check the fence line. You just want to get around the property and just check some things out. And that is why we got the little Coleman. It's like $1,300 plus or minus a couple $100 at Tractor Supply when it's on sale. It's a little 110cc. I don't know, when I grew up, a 110 was an adult model. I know everybody's bigger nowadays. You know, I'm not a big guy. I'm like 5'8", my wife's 5 foot. You know, in our area, we're considered miniature, I guess. And, but, you know, so if you're not a humongous person, you know, big boned, whatever, just, this is another alternative. You can go buy, you know, a Honda that's 30 years old, that'll still run another 30 years. Or you can get one of these little Colemans. Well, that Honda is going to cost you still probably like $2,500, $3,500. I'm seeing even the 110 Hondas for $2,500 right now. This thing, Chinese, it's made in China, little China engine. It's heavy duty enough. I mean, it's decent. We've been using it. The big thing I will go over, it's made in China. Yeah, there's China ATVs have been around for a while. The big negative though is that when I bought my Polaris, the ATV, they went over everything with me. They are a Polaris shop. They went over how to do this, maintenance this, you know, how to take care of this, you know, the service intervals. They went over everything, showed me their checklist that they checked all the fluids, you know, everything, greased everything. We had to go to Tractor Supply to pick this up. The guy there didn't even know how to start it, didn't even know, he just, he went on to tell me that he's an expert of everything ATVs and his family owns 10 Polaris ATVs and whatever, you know, but he couldn't tell me anything about this. So just keep that in mind. When you get the manual, it comes with the operator's manual. It also comes with an assembly manual because some people get them unassembled. You get them shipped to them. We got it assembled because it's free from Tractor Supply, and that's what they had there. You know, these things were selling like hotcakes, and the reviews on these are great or horrible. And if you read the horrible ones, I'll get in that right in a minute. They started up, made sure it ran. I didn't want the guy to run it too much because honestly, I don't trust them. I don't know what they did, whatever. So it fired up. I'm like, good, drove it on the trailer. I said, that's good. The guy couldn't even get it started for the first thing. My wife had to get it started because she read the manual ahead of time. So we get it home. I read the manual front to back, the assembly manual. It says in there, these China ATVs are shipped with a shipping oil that needs to be changed before you run the engine. And did some Googling. the shipping oil is just a low-grade, crappy oil that you shouldn't run the engine with. So I figured, well, we had about 5 minutes of time on the engine. Maybe they ran it another, you know, screwing around in the back room of the store or whatever. But I changed the, I don't know, they were supposed to have done that. I don't trust them. I changed the oil. I checked the tires. Tire pressure's 10 pounds, operating pressure, max. All the tires were at 20 pounds. There you go. You got some idiot putting it together there. I don't want to say idiot, but you got some, you know, the way stores are today, the ability they are looking for is availability. So it's, who knows? Maybe it was the guy that showed up that day that put this thing together. So I went over everything. I found one wheel on the back was loose, one on the front, you know, just some bolts were not tightened. I Loctited stuff. I don't think there's Loctite on this. I just double checked everything. And then the idle, I read the manual. The idle was, I think it's like 1200 plus or minus 150. It was like at 1000 and it would just die all the time. The other thing, starting it. Front and rear brakes have to be on. So obviously you can't hold both front and rear brakes, the levers, and push the button. But they've got little lockers on them. So you just leave them locked, put the choke on, hit the start, and then it takes a long time to get this thing started. It's just the choke, it's like, it just reminds me like, it's not like my fuel injected Polaris that I hit the thing starts up right away. Yeah, but so if you get one of these, go through everything. No offense to Tractor Supply, but you know, you don't know, it's not like some, yeah, it might be some guy who's an ATV expert on his own ATVs, but he knows nothing about these. I know nothing about, you know, as much as I did from, I think these are made for Coleman by a company called Tao Tao, T-A-O. If you research them, a lot of information on those. The engine looks the same. If you're going to do the oil changes, there's no filter on this. You just have to do frequent. That's another thing. It tells you to do the oil changes about every 10 hours or something like that. For the brake, my odometer, it doesn't. It's got a. It'll tell me my mileage, but it won't tell me the hours. So I'm trying to keep a rough estimate. I might just change it more frequently than, and that's not a big deal. My dad's John Deere Gator, one of the early ones, it doesn't have oil filter. The new ones do, but the old ones don't. You just change it after so many hours. So it does have headlights, which is nice. It's got front rear racks, which is nice. I mean, the front, you're kind of limited because of your handlebar and these grip things. So realistically, the front rack is useless. You might be able to lay something flat on there, but if you see the wheel turned all the way, you're to about here. And then when you go this way, you're to about there. So you got about, you know, 2 inches in the front here. And maybe you could use the rest of it if you had something, you know, less than a hand height. You know, so maybe you could lay a tool across there. The rear rack is actually pretty useful. I put a basket on the back. Took it off though for now, but it's actually pretty useful, the rear rack. I think the load capacity is like 200 pounds. I'm like 160, 155, somewhere around there. My wife's like 100. She's pretty small. Perfect for her. Like I said, I didn't go buck while driving this thing around. We use this on maintained trails. My driveway is a 1/4 mile long, so sometimes, you know, just to go get the mail, check the fence lines. I mean, it's. I drove this in snow the other day, and it's actually not too bad. It might actually start up. I'll try to start it up. If I can't get it started, it'll be interesting, but I'll try. So you got to make sure it's in neutral. Turn the key on. Flip the choke up. And then start it. But like I said, it takes me, on a cold day, it still takes a while for it to get going. It wants to start. Now I read a guy that for cold weather he turned up the idle just to get it started, because when you want to give it some gas, it just kills it. It needs the idle is pretty low. didn't sound good. And there it goes. It takes a while. Choke is still on. Now it's running. I let it idle like 5 minutes, whatever. I give it a little bit of gas, let it warm up. I will say, once it's warmed up, it runs pretty good. It's my old Trail Boss, that was like a 2004, it was kind of hard to start. I'd have to choke it, let it run for a while, and for a 2021 or whatever this thing, it's kind of funny that you got to do that again, but it is what it is. For the price, we'll deal with it. Yeah. So not the easiest to start, but once you get it started and go with the shortcomings, the starter sounds chintzy. Like I'm glad that on Amazon you can find new starters. They sell them as a replacement because it just sounds like it's, I don't know, like it's made out of plastic or something. The big negatives, it does not have a pull start. The good thing is that it's light enough that you can pull start it, I believe. I haven't tried it yet, but. And it's still idling at 1,000. Once it's, Jesus. There it goes. Now it's starting to, it'll go up over 1,000 and kind of go like this, where it's starting to get warmed up. You can see in here, it is cold. So I mean, I'll give it that. This thing will probably run a lot better in the summer, but we really don't ride them too much in the winter. And now once it gets to that 1,200, like it's at 1,200 right now, it usually stays running. It's just getting it to that and getting it warmed up. So like I said, for the price, it's one of those things you're going to deal with. I mean, it's not going to, maybe once it gets broken in a little bit better. The driving it, like I said, I showed a little video. I mean, it moves me. It could probably move much more. I did take the tire pressure. It says 10 pounds. I drove this thing, and I thought I was driving on cement, like wheels. It was like it rattled everything. I dropped the pressure down to about 7 pounds per tire. You can't see, but there's like no indentation, and I'm on it, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, so I did that and made it much smoother because it does have front and rear suspension. Yeah, now she's running good. So this is normally what we'll do. We'll get it running like this. Once it idles, I'll go take care of some of the chores, clear out the door, whatever, and then pull it out. Unfortunately, it's not a jump on it and just take off. You need something with fuel injection, I'm assuming, or just something that, a much more expensive machine. But once it's warmed up, it actually runs pretty good. Very good on fuel. There's no fuel gauge on here, so yeah. I'm hoping maybe to get some comments on it's got a lot of goofy little safety features. The tether. You've got the little headlights. I don't even know if you can see them. You got the brights. These are the actual headlights. Those are your daytime running lights. And now you can see the idle is great. It'll idle like this all day now. It's just that initial getting it started. So who knows? Maybe I'll swap out the Chinese spark plug and get a better one in there, or a Japanese one, something. The other thing I should have mentioned too, it has a little battery in here. It could be that maybe it would start easier. I haven't put the battery tender on it in a while. And those little batteries, I know my Kubota needed to be, the battery was like almost killed from the cold. My Ranger, it's got a bigger battery. I have to keep a tender on it because it normally does not have much cranking power in this cold. My shop is not heated. So I'm now I'm a little bit more impressed that it took, it did take a little longer, but it actually did pretty good for as cold as it is in here, because my Ranger, it needs the tender on the battery. My Kubota needs the block heater and the battery on. It's diesel, but yeah, so okay. Well, hopefully you enjoyed. Like I said, if you get one of these, think long and hard about the shortcomings versus the positives outweigh it. I mean, there's some other videos where some people are a lot more rougher on these things than we're ever going to be on it, so, which is a good thing because it shows that they're not built too bad. But for just general homestead use, checking, you know, the fence lines, running some feed, you know, you could throw a bag of feed in the back. You know, I'd rather carry a 50-pound bag of feed on the rack than my back and walk we've got another couple animal pastures that are a bit further. I'd rather throw it on here. You know, go get the mail. You know, it's a cold day. I'll just jump on here, come back a half mile later, you know. Granted, I got to let it warm up and do some other thing, but you know, we know that. So now, like, if I'm going to use this, I'll get it running like this, idling, and then I'll do another project till it warms up. Kind of like the tractor. Diesel tractor in the cold, you got to warm it up. So I'll get it started, and then I'll do something else, you know. So I'm gonna shut this off now because the cats, me, I got the other door open back there, but it's yeah. So, and it's just got a kill switch button here. You can pull the tether out. You can turn the key, or you can. There's a remote control too, which is kind of dumb. And that's it.